Let's go ahead and get into our study tonight. Revelation chapter 4. We're going to get through 4 and 5 hopefully tonight. We've been working our way through 4. And last week we ended on a lot of symbols. If you remember last week, we've been looking at the throne room vision of God. What do you mean, throne room vision of God? Well, chapters 4 and 5 have this marvelous vision. And this is a good color representation, thank you, Maya, of what is described in chapters 4 and 5. So this is chapter 4 and this is chapter 5. Of the vision of the throne of God, and around him are these 24 elders, and there are 4 torches or lamps in front of the throne. A sea of glass that is portrayed. All of this symbolism that is here. And one of the first things I mentioned in this is, if you have your outline, and I'm sorry I don't have any extras, please go to the website and download one if you don't have it with you. If you look on your outline in verses 2 through 11, I said this is a throne room scene that's reminiscent of the prophet's call in the Old Testament. Meaning that this is how the Old Testament prophets were called to their ministry. They had this vision of the throne of God. And we looked at Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 6. We looked at Ezekiel chapters 1 through 2. We looked at Daniel 7, 9 through 24. These are 3 of the 4 major prophets who all had this similar type of experience. The heavens were open. They saw the throne room of God. And they were called to be prophets to God's people because of that. Did you have a question? No. Oh, okay. And so the book of Revelation, after the message to the churches, begins with this similar throne room scene. And so what we've been doing in these past 2 weeks is teasing out what are all these symbols. What are the 24 elders? What are the 7 lamps? Who is this that's seated on the throne? Who are these cherubim, these 4-faced creatures that are around the throne? What is all of this? What does it mean? Okay? And so that's what we are unpacking right now. So let's go to chapter 4 again. Let's unpack some of this and then finish chapter 4. And then let's move into chapter 5 because 4 and 5 are related. It's the same throne room scene, but it's like in a different format. And so we have to take that into consideration. What's the differences? And what does that mean? So chapter 4 begins, "After this I looked, and behold in heaven an open door. And the first voice which I had heard speaking to me like a trumpet," and I told you to mark that, this voice like a trumpet, which we first heard in chapter 1, comes back in chapter 4. It will come again in the trumpet judgments. There are 7 trumpet judgments that are put upon those who do not follow the liturgy of heaven. And so what's all this trumpets? What is that? What does that mean? Hold that thought because we will get to that. Okay? I'm not skipping it. I'm just holding it. Okay? "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this. At once I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne stood in heaven, with one seated on the throne. And he who sat there appeared like jasper and carnelian, and round the throne was a rainbow." I don't know if you can see back there, but because of the color, I like this. It's a rainbow, and whoever did this art did it well, because it says this rainbow looked like an emerald. So it has a dominant green tone to it, but you can tell it's a rainbow. Okay? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Okay? Round the throne were the 24 thrones, and seated on the thrones were 24 elders, clothed in white garments, with golden crowns on their head. From the throne issued flashes of lightning, voices, and peals of thunder. And before the throne burned 7 torches, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne there is, as it were, a sea of glass, like crystal. And around the throne, on each side of the throne, are 4 living creatures, full of eyes in front and behind. And then it goes on and describes the creatures. So let's stop here, because this is where we ended up last week. Let's unpack a little, let's review some of this symbolism, and then let's move on to the 4 living creatures. First of all, there are 24 elders. What does the number 24 signify? War or worship. When we look into the Old Testament, we find that the number 24 is connected to war and worship. Where do you see that? Well, war, the giants of Gath all had 6 fingers and 6 toes. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Who was the lead giant of Gath? Goliath. Remember David and Goliath? He had 6 fingers, 6 toes. So how many digits did he have altogether?
24.
24. And who was he? The enemy of the chosen people. He was the lead person, the lead Philistine, to plague the people of God. He was the one that taunted them. He was a giant by nature. He was 6 Hebrew cubits and a span. So 6, his measurements are 6 also. So 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, all over the place. So 6 is also a significant number. What does that mean? Beasts. Why do we say it's beasts?
Creation of the animals.
Ah, thank you. The creation of the land animals was on the 6th day. What else was created on the 6th day? Mankind. And they were given charge over the beasts. But with sin, what happened? The whole thing got reversed, and men started worshiping beasts, which is the essence of idolatry. Following me? So when we say the number 6 is the number of the beast, what we mean is that it's when humans are not acting as humans should. They're acting like animals. They're acting like the lower animals that they were to have rule over. Yes? Yes? When we see the restoration of creation, what we're going to see is humans put back in that position, acting as the rulers of the beast and not the other way around. And we mentioned that there are certain saints that have done this. Saint Francis, Saint Anthony of Padua. They had all these miracles related to them in relationship to animals, which shows what a true Son of God could potentially do. Does that make sense? Okay? So that's war. Now, not just the enemies of God, but God's own people. David's divisions of soldiers were in groups of 24,000. 24 again comes up. 1 Chronicles 27, 1 through 15. So we see that warfare has the number 24 attached to it. What about worship? Well, you look in 1 Chronicles 23, and you will see that the priests that minister in the temple were divided into 24 battalions. The way that David did this. He divided the priests into groups of 24 to service the temple. I also noted that the prophet Haggai prophesied on the 24th day of the month to the governor, and again on the 24th of the month to the priests. We see this in Haggai 2:10 and 2:20. So why on the 24th of the month? Because we have war and we have worship. Okay? So we have that symbolism. What most commentators view the 24 elders as, and you will see this probably in the commentaries that you have and elsewhere, is that they represent a combination of the Old and the New Testaments combined. It is the governance of heavenly worship by the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 apostles. And we see this in the vision in Revelation 21. At the end of the book, the New Jerusalem, the foundations have the names of the 12 tribes of Israel, and the gates to the city have the names of the 12 apostles. So you see that 12 and 12 is 24 kind of idea in there. Does that make sense? By the way, is it cold in here?
Yeah.
Can we turn off the air? Can we turn off the air?
Just have a question. When you mentioned about 12 apostles, remember that Judas was the 12th and betrayed Jesus.
Yes.
And then so they draw and they vote for the other one, that Matthew?
Matthias?
Matthias, okay. Now, my question is, I wonder, was St. Paul is another apostle, and why didn't they pick him at the time?
He wasn't. He was not a member of Jesus' community. He was an enemy of the church at that time. At that particular moment, he was a devout Jew who would later become an enemy of the church. He wouldn't be converted until chapter 9 of Acts. They picked Matthias to replace Judas in chapter 1 of Acts.
So
Before Pentecost.
Yes.
So after we have 13 apostles.
We actually have a lot of people that are named apostles. Barnabas was named an apostle. Silas is named an apostle. We have Junius and Andronicus in the book of Romans that are called apostles. So there were a number of people called apostles. So the question comes, well, whose names are going to be on the gates of the